So because of the global epidemic that is happening right now, I've been on Twitter and Instagram more than usual. And obviously the Wonho situation is still going on, which we will keep fighting for him. But I saw a tweet which talked about the fact that Monsta X have been mistreated many times before. And it all adds up, so I'm pretty sure it's true. And I'm not saying Starship is the worst company because, but their past treatment needs to be shown, because I did not know any of this till recently. So let's get started. Grab your tissues. So for this part of the video I will be using tweets I found from @ShinsXO. Full credits to them for these tweets, and if you're watching this I'd like to thank you for sharing this information. Which is true guys, I've done further research. Because I'm sure with your tweet, many wouldn't know about this situation, which is also why I'm making this video. Please follow them and make sure to retweet the tweet. So the backstory. Shonu, Wonho, Juhan and Gun, who was a contestant in No Mercy and is now a soloist still under Starship, were all supposed to debut in an upcoming Starship group New Boys. However, their debut was suddenly cancelled and they were put into No Mercy. No Mercy is the show where Monsta X were formed. Meanwhile, H1 moved in with Min to pursue his dream in doing something in music industry. They moved from company to company together and have since talked about their lack of money, causing them to have to share one blanket because they were broke. Furthermore, IM left home to pursue being an idol and was supposed to debut in the group New Ability, however the company went bankrupt and his debut was cancelled. Speaking of No Mercy, during the time the show was heavily criticized for its use of labeling the boys with numbers and refusing to use their real names. It's also implied that the show was staged and Starship knew exactly who they wanted to be in the new group, and put these boys through and needed mistreatment for exposure. Those of you that haven't watched No Mercy, I highly recommend it as it would make more sense, however I'll try to explain it as best I can for right now. IM, as an 18-year-old boy, was placed into No Mercy in episode 8 after someone had left after not making one of the cuts, causing the rest of the boys to dislike him a lot. IM was used for a shock factor which made him feel isolated and cry many times because of it. Many original fans of the show decided not to support the final group in protest, however things were looking good as it was Starship's first new group after Boyfriend and media hype was high. Now on to the general career of Monsta X as a group. They debuted on the 14th of May 2015 with Trespass, which the general public liked. However, they did not get their first win from it. Starship made it clear it was important for them to do well and as of a result refused them access to their phones until their first win, and put immense pressure on them. They came back 4 months later with Rush, giving them number 3 on a music show where Wonho took to VLive to apologize that they weren't good enough and he assured fans they'd do better. Afterwards Hero came out, but disaster struck as both IM and Minutes had injured themselves during promotions and needed surgery. This put promotions on hold. Starship decided to pull Monsta X from the public eye with 2 out of 7 members needing to recover. This was one of the worst times for Monsta X as many fans left the fandom as Starship remained inactive on the situation. Fan Cafe was flooded with negative comments in a time Monsta X needed us most. Fans dropped them. Netizens mocked them and it did damage to a group that was only months old, but they kept going strong. This was the time where netizens started to poke around their past and found photos of Wonho Sulzang days, taking this as an opportunity to slander him and the group and stating he was not fit to be an idol. In 2016 they came back with All In, which was a beautiful music video about prejudice and oppression. It was a hit internationally but fell flat in Korea. During promotions they were quite reserved and Wonho hid from the camera a lot. The fandom was tiny with most dedicated fans in the fandom as many lost interest during their hiatus. Fighter was also released in 2016 and with the concept change many considered it bad. The costumes lazy. The stages underproduced and even Wonho's hair got hate. Many fans dropped them. Fighter charted on Melon in the 80s in the first hour of its release, however disappeared afterwards. The boys voiced their discontent with their lack of phones, saying they couldn't make friends in the industry and felt ashamed because of it. During the third episode of Monsta X-Ray, the boys talked about their debut times and how much they struggled getting through each day, and their dreams of winning first in 2017 so their fans would no longer be ashamed. Little did they know their dream would come true later on.
우리 보러 올 때 1위 가수 보러 오는 약간 그런 거 있잖아. 다른 팬분들한테보다 더
우리가 뭐 항상 매번 하는 얘기니까.
올해는 꼭 그렇게 됐으면 좋겠다.
올해는 하지.
In March of 2017, Beautiful was released, however it did not chart on Melon. It received the group's lowest scores on the weekly charts, but the song exploded in the K-pop community and they grew internationally like crazy. Starship finally gave Monsta X phones and a light stick after 3 whole years. Monsta X was still incredibly discredited and the fandom was tiny. Netizens were still appalling to Monsta X. Everyday Monbebs and Monsta X were called lazy and there were often mock hashtags trending saying that Monsta X couldn't chart despite being from a top company. Monsta X's first world tour was announced, however H1 fell ill with a fatal skin disease and was absent from all US stops. Starship didn't update on his condition, which left fans feeling worried and angry. Nevertheless, the tour went ahead and even though the boys hadn't charted, they were loved all over the world and H1 soon recovered. After Shine Forever was released, Dramarama came along and on the day of the showcase Wonho was ill, so a backup dancer covered his parts. He then took to Fan Cafe to apologize for letting the fans down. Then on November 14th, Monsta X received their first win and every member cried. They thanked Monbebs for always standing by them and took to V-Live to thank us and bowed till their noses reached the ground. The boys were finally happy as fans like a #1 group. For this next incident I'm not going to explain it as I don't want to make this video too long, however please pause and read. Two weeks prior to their comeback, they released the Destroyer film. Many have speculated this was meant to be the title track and was changed last minute. The boys talked about having to learn the choreography, shoot the music video and prepare the albums in a week. Not only did this cause Min's knee injury to act up again as they were overworked, but it meant the Jealousy music video was lower budget than the rest of their comebacks. Netizens mocked Monsta X as, with the correlation of K-pop night, they seemed once again like a failing group. Many international fans expressed their disappointment at the concept change from Destroyer to Jealousy. Yet Monsta X stayed hopeful. Hee-yeon spoke in a V-Live about how this was going to be their big Korean hit, however it wasn't. Jealousy barely charted and they fell off the Korean public's map after dramarama once again. They received one win after weeks of promotion, but many people spread rumors that the company paid for their win. During their weekly Idol appearance, the hosts made very inappropriate jokes about Monsta X's overseas fans. Articles were written, and Stan Twitter cancelled our boys despite them being very uncomfortable. Min is also made fun of by the hosts for his body. Take a look.
민혁이는 왜 몸보다 머리가 더 커 보이지?
옷이
민혁이는
민혁이는 약간 멀리서 보면 메론맛 아이스크림이야.
여기는 또 기분 탓인가요?
기분 탓일 거야.
선우야 기분 탓이에요, 형? 아니 옷이 너무 말라서 그런가요 지금?
아마 너무 말라가지고.
하체가 너무 많이 말라가지고 그래. 하체가 상체보다.
And Starship has forced certain members. I won't go into it too much as talking about weight triggers people sometimes, however, to lose weight before. At the same time this was happening, netizens were attacking Wonho for always showing his chest and body. They discredited his work and achievements, saying Monsta X only used this to gain fans, and that none of us truly liked them or their music. In October of 2018, Monsta X released Shootout to great success. The song exploded in the Korean industry and even reached the general public once again. It charted on Melon for a few days and received 4 wins from music shows. Now we all know the incidents that have gone on now, but if you don't, articles are available online. Obviously that was a lot of information to take in, however I'm sad that these are the reasons why Monsta X are so apologetic to us. It's also sad that the fandom wasn't as strong and lacked loyalty. It's weird because mon babies are often labeled unproblematic, whereas back there were a lot of antis. I'm also angry that Starship treated and still probably is treating them like this. At the end of the day, one of the reasons they have money is because of Monsta X, and that's probably why Starship keep pushing them is for money, which we've seen the consequences, which include Juhyun's anxiety. Not going to lie, I won't be surprised if Wonho doesn't want to come back because of the treatment he got, not just from Starship and Antis but even members of the fandom. I tried to make this video short, so I may not have included everything, however again, even more reason to read the tweet and retweet it to raise awareness. I want the best for every member of Monsta X, and the last thing I want is to remind Monsta X of these hardships. However, I want to raise awareness about them and give mon babies or future mon babies reasons why we should always stand by Monsta X, because they have fought so much to be with us. In conclusion, this is what we all think of Starship. Anyways, thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe and make sure to read the description. Bye guys.